afternoon, everybody. I think what I'm here to do is give the big picture, why we're interested in local foods and how you can actually get them into the schools. You know, most people outside this room don't think about where their food comes from. You ask them and they say it comes from the supermarket. And that's not surprising, and in some ways not altogether bad, because it means that in our society, for most people, food is relatively abundant, it's relatively inexpensive, and it's relatively safe. So they don't have to think about where their next meal is coming from. But lately, things have begun to change. People are starting to think more about the sources of their food. Some of that comes from concerns over health, childhood diabetes, adolescent eating disorders, heart disease, and other difficulties that are associated with diet. Some of it has to do with food security. Anybody thought twice about eating eggs in the last week or two? How often was it 7 years ago that in casual conversation you would use words like salmonella, E. coli, mad cow? Suddenly food has become an issue. And as oil prices go up and down, that idea that food is always going to be cheap has become a question too. So there are lots of reasons to think about the sources of our food. Here in Knox County, people are thinking about the sources of their food for another reason. It has to do with rural sustainability. This is a county that is centrally defined by farming. About 15 years ago, I did a project with students at Kenyon College, Family Farm Project. And we were interested in the issue of family farming and its relationship to community life. And not surprising, family farming had to do with all aspects of community life. It defined the character of the landscape and green space. It was central to the economic activity that kept this place vital. It had a lot to do with sociability and the way in which people interact with one another. It was the root of fundamental values of stewardship and hard work and neighborliness. But family farming is in trouble, as I'm sure most of you know. The average age of farmer in Knox County is over 58 years old. Farmers have a devil of a time trying to compete with corporate agriculture. Almost every farmer in Knox County has at least one member of the family that's working an off-farm job just to keep ends meet. And when you add to that the problems of exurban sprawl, which puts new pressures on land use, it's very, very difficult for family farmers to stay in business. Now, interestingly, folks in Knox County became increasingly concerned about a decade or so ago in the future of this county and the fate of family farming as part of that future. They looked at what was going on in Delaware County to the southwest. Are some of you familiar with Delaware County? Remember that Delaware County used to be a nice rural community with lots of farmland, and now it's all urban sprawl. Anybody been through New Albany? You know, my wife's got the best comment about New Albany. She says, so much fence, so little livestock. And Knox Countyans looked at that and they saw it coming this way. They saw the McMansions showing up. They saw the housing developments. They saw how so much of the downtown economic vitality had moved to the big box stores in the periphery of town. And they asked, is this what we want for our community? What do we want to preserve? What do we care about in Knox County? And how could we direct the course of change that's coming in a way to address the challenges and the difficulties that we do have in a positive way? And they developed a long-range plan. And the long-range plan said that the primary goal for this community's planning and development should be to preserve rural character, rural sustainability. And the plan argued that preserving small-scale family farming was absolutely central to that goal. Now the question becomes, well, how do you preserve small-scale family farming? And there are a lot of strategies that we can use to do this. One strategy is protective zoning. We'll designate agricultural land as specifically to be used for farming and disallow it to be used in other ways. Now, I had the great fortune or misfortune, depending on your point of view, to be the chair of my township zoning commission. It's a great way to be hated by absolutely everybody in your community all at once. And a farmer would come up at a meeting and say, now look, Howard, what you're telling me is if we designate my land exclusively for agriculture, when a developer comes to me and wants to offer me 5 times the agricultural use value of my land, I can't sell it. But my neighbor half a mile down the road who happens to be in the next township where they don't have that kind of zoning, he can do that. Is that fair? It's an interesting question. And I can tell you that rural folks do not like assaults on their private property rights. Another strategy is to buy development rights. So you get a nonprofit organization here in Knox County, it's the Owl Creek Conservancy, and they go up to that farmer and they say, if the ag value of your land is $2,000 an acre and the development value is $10,000 an acre, we'll pay you $8,000 an acre up front. You'll get the money, you can keep the land, you can pass it on to your family, you can sell it as a farm, but we hold the development rights. Well, that seems fair enough. It takes care of that financial consideration and seems to work well. The only problem is if you've got a 200-acre farm, $8,000 an acre, that's $1.6 million to save one farm. There are 1,200 farms in Knox County. You do the math. And the one thing that local residents like even less than assaults on their private property rights are no taxes. Now, the Rural Life Center at Kenyon College suggested a third alternative. We argued based on our field work with local farmers that farmers want to farm, that their kids want to stay close to home and they want to do farming too. That what farmers need in order to continue farming is to be able to make a living wage. And that if we can make it economically viable for farmers to farm, they'll stay on the land will stay green, farming will continue to be central to rural character, and everybody will be happy. And without new taxes and without a lot of restrictive zoning. So we proposed a project we called Food for Thought. What if we could build an alternative, dependable, sustainable local food system that would put more of the food dollars directly in the hands of the farmers to be recirculated in businesses in the local community? And research shows that on average the dollars recirculate 7 times before they leave. And provide safe, healthy, affordable, nutritious food for consumers. It's a triple whammy. Everybody wins. Just to give you an idea of what the economic impact would be, we recently completed a systematic economic impact study. What if we had a local food system and we increased local food purchases, retail purchases, by 10%? That means when you go out and do your grocery shopping, maybe $6 or $7 of your grocery bill would be local foods. It means restaurants have 10% local foods. It would mean, in Knox County, $13 million in new gross sales. It would mean $4 million in new employee earnings, $350,000 in additional local sales tax, and 243 new jobs. That's significant, and that's a way to provide the economic basis to maintain rural sustainability in local communities.